Welcome back to Home Wind Turbine Reviews. Let's get this Smaraad vertical axis wind turbine up on the iStabreeze Mast, get it tested, see what it can do. Right, so we've got the 7-metre mast. It's about 90 kilos in total. The actual the Smaraad is about 15 kilos. So we're getting on to 100, maybe 110 kilos of mast and turbine. I said on the last video, it's going to be very difficult to manually push the pole up. Now it's this type of weight and this type of length. So we needed to install a winch system to be able to do it safely. Now, I'm going to conclude at the end on this, you'll see, but this winch system is not a single person winch system. And there's a number of reasons for that. I'll talk about that later. But I've got something that's going to aid the two people to get this mast up as safely as you possibly can. So let's go and have a quick look at the whole of the winch system. I'll take you through it. Okay, so winch handle. I've just used a 500 kilo VAWT winch from Amazon. It's a pretty substantial piece. I've tried several winches. This one is very well made. It looks like it's going to do the job. I've got a 5mm cable on. I was considering putting 6mm, but I don't think it's necessary. Actually, it's not going to be the strength of the wire that will be the problem on this winch system. We'll cover that in a minute. This is sunk on oak in the ground about 70 centimeters. I've concreted around it and to a depth of 90 centimeters. You can probably see as it was setting, I did it on the load, it has moved a little bit with the clay. I actually put an additional safety feature in, which is this 1.5-meter scaffold pole going in that way and then attached to the blocks, just to try and prevent that forward momentum when you're under full load. Now, it's never going to take full load, as I'll tell you in a minute. I think this is going to be effectively a winch aid to lift the mast. I think there's always going to be some requirement for manual intervention rather than one person. I'll explain that in a bit. Let's have a look at the way that the winch system works. So starting, we're just slightly off the ground with the winch. We've then got the gin pole. So the gin pole system, this is what's taking most of the load from the mast lifting. I mean, it's ideally you'd have this a little bit higher. The higher you have it, the better the leverage you'll get. But this is okay for me. I've put a stabilizing strut down, and both of these are into deep concrete, so this isn't going to move. I'm pretty happy with this setup. So the rope then goes along. I won't go all the way to the end, but it goes to 3/4 of the way up the mast on a pulley, down to a base mast pulley in the ground there, again concreted in, and then back all the way to a bolt underneath the winch. So that's the sort of full winch mechanism. Right. The reason I think this is going to be a two-man job is really down here. The base of this is a strong mast, but the design feature that I like the least about this, I've talked to iStabreeze about it, is the size of both the base plate that the mast is on and the base plate which is concreted into the ground. This pivoting system is only a small weld and an 8mm bolt. If this shears off, the whole of the mast propels that way. So as an additional safety feature later today, I'm going to drill in here a big roll plug like this down. I'll have an eye on it with a shackle. I'll put a bolt through here, and with some chain, I'll just create a safety feature that if it does shear, at least the mast isn't going to go flying to the person who's winching at the other end. That is the worst design feature. This should really be at least a 12mm bolt through, and ideally a much better welded system and a bigger plate on the ground. Anyway, so come this way, I'll show you why this also is more likely to be a two-person job. We've got a resting platform here. I've not concreted this in. This is just a straightforward piece of wood and a bracket, but this is what's going to support the mast. Now, if I start winching, you would see that as soon as this gets above to here, it starts to move laterally quite substantially. You can get, if I let it go, it would move 1 or 2 meters either way. And that's the biggest issue with the base of this mast. Ideally, you'd have a mast that's pivoting probably on a base mounting that might be 0.5 meter to 1 meter above the ground, and the mast would go past it and you pivot. A bit like the big mast that I've got over there. That enables a much more secure pivoting point and with a larger bolt. Because this is right on the ground, this is going to need to be supported by hand. So somebody's going to have to hold this and guide it as the person winches up, and then gradually, you know, move towards the sort of vertical point as they keep winching. So I think, you know, that's going to be the safest way to do it. It's certainly going to be an aided winch. You're going to get it up. We'll have it in the vertical. We'll bolt it onto the base plate. We'll put the guy ropes up, and then we'll get it running. So let's have a look. Keep going. Stop. Keep going. Stop. Keep going. Stop. I think that's it. Turbine and mast fully up, and winch system worked quite well. It definitely is an assisted lift. You need to be just supporting it to make sure you don't get lateral movement. And I've now got the 6 guy ropes, 3 outer and 3 inner. Haven't yet put the safety feature in. I'm going to do that later on. That will be there. We'll have a bolt through there, and we'll have chain through, just giving it an extra piece of security. I am going to ask iStabreeze if they can give me a base plate with a larger bolt mechanism welded on, because I'm still a bit worried about this. 2 more bolts to put on here, and then we're done. That's all fully fixed in, and let's go and see what this Smaraad can actually do.